What's up guys, Mike here with padbangers.com, today with a new review for you guys, and we finally have it here, the Softube Console 1, a dedicated controller for a channel strip plugin that is modeled after the solid state logic SL4000E mixing console. And when you watched our videos for quite a while, last year on Massive 13, we talked to Nick from Softube when they first introduced the Console 1, and I hardly could hide my excitement about it because I just love dedicated controllers. There's nothing better than a controller that has labeled knobs on it that they only do one function at a time, and not like big controllers with thousands of buttons and knobs, and you have to map it out and you just can't remember the mapping for each instrument. So big thumbs up for Softube and every other company that is building dedicated controllers. I just love it. Alright, so let's take a look at the controller first, which is kind of the heart piece of this whole bundle here. So on the outside it's metal or aluminum, very sturdy, and it's very heavy. On the bottom you have like these rubber stops that prevents it from sliding around on your table, so it stands very solid. The faceplate is kind of a very thick plastic, so the overall quality is just excellent. You have nice clicky buttons. All the knobs have a smooth finish and they're not flimsy at all, they're not wobbling or shaking. Really excellent quality here. For the knobs, they're endless encoders, and every knob has its own LED ring that indicates the actual value of the knob. Also, most of the buttons have LEDs. You also have an input and output meter, and also meters for the compressor and the gate, which we talk later on. And it's separate into, just like the plugin, it's separate into 6 sections, which is the input section, the track select section, the shape dynamics, equalizer, compressor, and the output section. I'm gonna explain everything in detail when we have a look at the software. I'm here in Studio One, and as you can see, I loaded up my template. And you can see I loaded Console 1 in every track, and this is basically how it works and how it recognizes all your tracks from the plugin. You just load it into every track you want to use it, and it kind of manages all the tracks by itself. So when you double click on here, you don't really see the plugin window, you just see information over the track number and the name of it. And you could also switch to kind of a basic interface to make really quick changes. But the actual software where the magic happens is the Console 1 on-screen display. And you can turn it off from the Console 1 right here. And you get this huge full screen plugin interface, which looks really cool. And it's exactly the same layout like the controller. So you get your input section, dynamic shape, equalizer, compressor, output, and the track selection on the bottom. So, and as you can see, it pulls every name and track number straight from Studio One. So every track is named properly. That's really a time saver. Now, I don't know if this works in Pro Tools or Logic, but it works excellent in Studio One. I also tested it in the Machine software. It couldn't grab the track name from Machine, but you can double click on the name and enter your own name, and it will be displayed in the software. So that's also really good. And every time you come to the software, you have an overview over your tracks, and you easily find your tracks. Now, there are 2 different display modes right here. You can set the software to auto, which is kind of cool when you're still arranging stuff, but you want to mix a little bit. and you don't have to click on and off on the display all the time. Now what you do is with auto mode is you just touch a knob, and as soon as a value changes or it recognizes the knob will be touched, it brings in the plugin. And if you stop touching the knobs on the controller, it fades away. That's really cool. Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna show you how it sounds with the console 1, and let's tweak this drum loop just a little bit. So let's bring in display, and I turn off auto mode so the display stays in focus all the time. Now for the input section, first of all we need to select the proper track, and you can see on the bottom, track 17, contact 1, you have the signal, so I choose track 17, and here we are. So I can monitor my input signal right here. I can high or low cut it really quick from the input section. So I really don't have to set up a full EQ to do this. There's dedicated high and low cut. Then let's turn on the dynamic shape, which is basically a transient shaper and a gate. So if I want to make my drums a little more punchy, I could work with the transients here, add some more punch to it. Or make them a little drier. Alright, let's move over to the equalizer section and activate it. And now you have a 4-band equalizer here. You can just tweak it around the way you want. You can choose for the low and high gain, you can choose between cup, bell and a shelf. Works really good. Now let's turn on the compressor. And on the output section you also have this really cool drive function, which is kind of a saturator. You also can solo and mute tracks right from the console, which is really cool. And you also can group all tracks or only a few of them to make changes for the whole group. There's also a sidechaining function built in, so you just go ahead and set up sidechaining in your DAW mixer like you would do with every other plugin. Console 1 recognizes the sidechain here. And then you can decide either to sidechain to the compressor to give this ducking effect for like EDM music, typical effect. Or you could also send it to shape, which means it's only triggered with the gate. If you have like a pad sound and you route a kick to the pad sound, it would only sound with the kick drum itself. You're also able to switch the order of the dynamic shape, equalizer and compressor by just switching the routing inside of the console 1. So you could say do the compression after the EQ and after the shape, stuff like that. You could also do phase inversion right here if you want to prevent phase cancellation. And you also can send the filters straight to the compressor. For example, if you have like a drum loop but you only want to trigger the sidechain with the low frequencies with the kick drum, you can send the filters straight to the compressor. So at the moment the console built in is the solid state logic SL4000E, but the cool thing is if you own other plugins from Softube besides the plugins they did for Native Instruments, which I hope they will bring it in the future as well, but every other Softube plugin works in the console 1 and you can select them by holding down the Shift button and then choosing one of the Shape, EQ, or Compressor button right here. And if you press this, you see now I only have one dynamic shaper in here, but for the EQ, for example, I could choose now from a bunch of Softube plugins. They're not working at the moment. I didn't activate the license. I just got the demo versions just to show you guys how it would look like here in the selection. And then I just press OK. And of course I'm getting a license failure right now. So let's go back to the SSL. Also, there's a load strip function here. So what it means is Softube is going to release complete channel strip plugins to load in console 1. So you get totally different characters. It's built to get more plugins in the future, which is really cool. Alright, here's my verdict for the console 1 from Softube. Let's start with the cons. First of all, the LEDs on the controller could be a little brighter. They're not dark, but I just wish they were a little bit easier to see in the daylight. Second, a common bug of the software at this moment is when your computer goes to sleep mode, console 1 will crash. It happens a lot of times to me. It's kind of annoying. So they tell you to unplug the hardware from the computer when you're not using it, but I would prefer an on and off button. Okay, another thing, I hope they make it in the future. It's not really a con, it's just a wish from me, is please support the Native Instruments plugins. The Softube Native Instruments plugins are excellent in my opinion, and I would love to use them inside of the console 1. The last thing is, it's also a little bit of pain in the ass. You have to unplug the hardware to bring the console in MIDI mode. Well, you can live with that, but also an on-off button would be the better solution, or even like a local off function, something like that. Now for the pros. You get an excellent controller, very sturdy, metal housing, thick plastic, good knobs, nice clicky buttons. The whole concept is just a pro for me. Also, the software interface is very well designed, and besides the sleep bug, the software never crashed, so it works really good. And I also like the fact that you can switch the plugins within the console 1, and you can save it as a preset and recall it anytime you need it. So overall, I'm very happy with the console 1, and I would love to keep it. Unfortunately, I have to send it back to Softube. I would really like to keep it. Now for the price, it's 800 bucks at the moment, which I think is a fair price for a professional controller. It's not aimed for hobby musicians, it's really aimed to people who do a lot of mixing, and I really think this controller can really be an improvement for your mixing. The whole workflow is just excellent. I really like it. But yeah, that's just me. What do you guys think? Do you own the console 1? Let me know what you think. Write me some comments. If you're interested in and you have some further questions, please don't hesitate to ask me, write a comment. And please, as usual, subscribe to the channel, share it, and like it. That's it, Mike with PatBangers.com. See you guys next time. Peace out.